G'day guys, I'm joined by the lovely Dalton from Risky Rollers, and
Good to be here.
we're at an event in Brisbane today, but we've just had some hot, fresh Chaos Space Marine rules released from Warhammer Community, and Dalton had the idea of let's just record a podcast on the road.
Just do it. Why wait?
Why wait? So we're not in my lovely studio, but we've got some quality commentator skills that we're going to bring to the fray. So we're going to go through the new releases from Warhammer Community for Chaos Space Marines.
The Faction Spotlight.
The Faction
10th edition
Spotlight,
40k.
if you will.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
One for the Blood God.
So they led off by talking a bunch of drivel about Space Marines and so on, leading with the Army rule. Chaos Space Marines Army rule is Dark Pact. This is the one rule that all the Chaos Space Marines will get no matter what sub-faction, anything like that. This is the thing that they all share. Currently it's the Let the Galaxy Burn rule, all being replaced by this one, Dark Pacts. If your army faction is Heretic Astartes, each time a unit with this ability is selected to shoot or fight, it can make a Dark Pact. If it does, select one of the following abilities for that unit's weapons to gain until the end of the phase. Lethal hits or sustained hits 1. Each time a unit makes a Dark Pact, after it has resolved its attacks, it must take a leadership test. If that test is failed, they take D3 mortal wounds.
Jesus.
What's going on there?
Sounds to me like lethal hits, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's 6s to hit auto wound.
Yep, that's the one.
And we've all seen with Guard, Votan, various,
Very
other
powerful.
factions of the game, how powerful that can be. Now, this is your army-wide bonus.
Yes.
So, Marines currently have, theirs is Oath of Moment, I believe, in the 10th edition, which is basically pick one enemy unit, get to reroll hits and wounds against it.
Yep.
I think I'd rather take auto wounding 6s. That's
across
pretty,
your whole arm.
spicy.
Well, the option to have it across your whole army.
Yeah.
And then when you don't need it, if you're shooting at something that's you're going to wound really easily, you take the other one. Sustained hits 1.
Which is 6s to hit, generate an additional.
Yeah. Sustained hits 1 is now exploding 6s.
I think this is going to be particularly spicy with some weapon profiles. So, for example, with the Twin Linked rule, right?
Yep.
It gives you reroll wounds. So Marines
Yes,
get
Twin Linked is now shred.
Yeah, so Marines get very little benefit from that, right? Because they've got army-wide reroll wounds against given target anyway.
Yep.
Whereas I feel like Chaos Space Marines going, cool, well, we get exploding 6s to hit and reroll wounds.
It's pretty good.
That's pretty spicy.
Yeah.
Or things like pairing with, spoiler alert, Abaddon's rules to get reroll hits.
Oh, we haven't even got started on him yet. That's pretty rough.
We'll go into those soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is really interesting. I think when the Space Marines one first came out, everyone was like, wow, that's broken, that's OP, that's really powerful. I think this has potential to be just as powerful.
Potentially, yeah, because this one gives you more options as well. Space Marines is like, see that unit over there?
Yeah.
That's dead, no matter what. Fair enough, that's kind of cool.
And I think what's going to happen is that Space Marine rule is going to incentivize people into MSU. People are going to be like, I want to bring lots and lots of small units. So the Space Marines, they get to pick a unit and definitely kill it. But it's a unit of 5 something. Yeah. Right?
Even if it's a unit of 10 something, it's still one thing.
Yeah.
Whereas this is everything you've got gets better.
Yeah. So I think this is probably going to be the better of the two. So that's 0.12 CSM versus the Space Marine. Let's keep a tally up in the corner, which will be up there somewhere. I'll put that in after in post. But yeah, I think that's a win for the CSM.
And what about the negative here? Because every time you do this, because you've got the option, you don't have to do it either. You can choose not to use this rule. But every time you do use it on every unit in your army, after they've finished doing whatever it is they're doing, you take a leadership check, and if you fail, you take D3 mortal wounds.
This will be interesting. So leadership checks now are 2d6 roll higher than your leadership. Right?
So they've mixed the old system with the new one and gone, well, now it's you need to roll higher than it to pass, but you still roll 2 dice to add them together.
Yeah.
And
so I think
a little bit of a spoiler.
You're probably going to be passing this.
Yeah, like a little bit of a spoiler. Chaos Space Marines leadership 6 base.
Yeah.
So given your average roll to 7,
yeah,
you should be fine.
Yeah. So I think it's probably not that big of a deal. And then also you're going to have units like Terminators, which are going to be probably even better leadership.
Yeah.
So certain units you're just always going to be taking that pact.
Yeah.
Maybe it's and then obviously on things like characters you're not going to even bother doing it because
they're not going to need it.
So I think
there is one character you might be doing it on a lot.
There's definitely one character who's all about that shit. All
right. Well,
what's our next spicy release?
So carrying on from that, they've also previewed the data sheet, which may or may not be the full data sheet. We can't confirm that. But the data sheet for the Chaos Space Marine Legionaries. So this is their basic troop. Essentially, their movement 6, toughness 4, standard stuff, 3 up save, 2 wounds apiece, a 6+ leadership as mentioned, and they have objective control 2. So each one of them has kind of counts as 2 models for objective control. Is roughly how we're equivalating it.
Equivalating. I like it.
Equivalating.
Lock it in.
There we go.
Use that.
There we go. That's I'm sure that's a word.
It's equivalent to equivalent.
Equivalent to yeah. There we go. So they've got objective control 2.
Yeah. Sick.
And they have a massive load of weapons and upgrades and things they can take. So
most of it's more or less the standard loadout that we're familiar with, right?
Yeah,
Is there anything in there that's particularly new or different that we would have otherwise seen?
Well, worth noting is that your Balefire Tome is now just part of your weapons profile.
It's a weapon.
Yeah, it has the psychic keyword, so it's a psychic ability, and it's an 18-inch range, 2 attacks, ballistic skill 3+, strength 5, -1 damage, shooting attack.
That's really disappointing to me. I was hoping that the Balefire Tome was going to grant you an ability to the unit. You know how there's the librarian, you attach him to your unit, he gives them an ability. I was hoping
I would have liked it to be like
it gives them maybe it gives them a 6-up feel no pain.
Well, Thousand Suns have a lot of like Balefire bolts and weird Hexfire bolts and stuff for their bolt guns.
Yeah.
I'd love this to be like pick one of your other weapons and make it better or something like that. That'd be kind of cool.
But the way I sort of picture the Balefire Tome, it's a book, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine if reading a book like fucked up that tank. Like what? It does like if one of the models was like sculpted with a fireball or something, then I'm on board.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I picture reading a book as like he's the guy in the unit doing like a chant or a prayer.
It's somewhere between a dark apostle and a so in the unit, which is really cool. But it's what it is. It's a shooting attack. So that's there. The other ones, you've got all your other stuff, your autocannons and so forth. Then the other interesting change was you can take accursed weapons now.
Yes.
So those are the things that Turners Chosen currently have, and it rolls all of their varied weapons, their lightning claws, chain fists, power swords, power axes, chain axes, whatever, all into one profile.
This would probably be for the sergeant only, I would assume.
I'll have to double check that one, but
I'm guessing legionaries won't be equipped all with cursed weapons.
No, but the aspiring champion can take 2 of them. Which is kind of fun.
I guess that's representing like the twin
lightning claws, But it means because it's one thing, he can have like a hectic chain axe and like a mad as demon sword as well, and it's all accursed weapons.
Yep.
So they can take those, and they can also take a heavy melee weapon,
which we're assuming is the heavy chain axe.
Yeah, because that's nowhere else here. But you can just take a heavy melee weapon, which is kind of cool. Again, because now you can model them with just a big thing.
I really like that. Like there was a period there where the most powerful power weapon was changing relatively frequently, depending on the way that the meta moved. So I was always toying with the idea of giving all of my guys power scythes.
Yeah.
And then it's like, is that a power sword? Is that a lightning claw? Is that a power fist? Like I could just say what it is when I need it to be that thing without having to remodel my Marines. But now you don't have to do that. You can just give them all, if you like swords, give them all swords.
It's a really nice sort of midpoint between letting you have a really cool customized unit where every guy has something cool and special about him, but not having to then go, oh great, I've now got 15 different profiles of weapons on 5 guys that I have to go through and change at each time. That's kind of cool. Worth pointing out as well, the accursed weapons will likely be the same thing that Chosen Terminators have.
Yes, true.
The profile for that being 4 attacks, weapon skill 3+, save strength 5, -2 AP, 1 damage. Not as useful as they are now.
Same as they are now with 1 less pip of AP.
Yes, they're 1 less AP. So that's it's fine. And they don't get the extra attack with them, but it's kind of rolled into the profile. Which, fair enough.
What about the abilities?
So in the abilities, they of course have Dark Pacts, as we've talked about, and they have the Veterans of the Long War rule. Each time a model in this unit targets an enemy unit with a melee attack, reroll a wound roll of 1. If that enemy unit is within range of an objective marker, you can reroll the wound roll instead. So each time a model in this unit targets an enemy with melee attack, reroll a wound roll of 1. So this is basically full rerolls of 1 to wound.
Yep.
In melee, always.
Wait, is it reroll a wound roll of 1 or reroll wound rolls of 1?
Reroll a wound roll, but it's each time they target with a melee attack. So for every melee attack you make, you that's what I was checking a minute ago.
That's
I'm like, changed
normally
wording
that would be worded as this unit can reroll rolls of 1.
Yes.
Whereas now it's a attack can reroll a wound, but each attack is 1 dice roll. So
I'll be interested to see if that helps or hinders the way that rerolls work and how they're understood.
So it looks to me like basically your legionaries now, they're going to be rerolling 1s to wounded melee.
Yep.
And if your opponent happens to be on an objective, which chances are, if you're charging something and getting to melee, and it's a combat that really matters to you,
they probably will be because you'll be trying to take it.
So now we circle back to Marines getting to pick a unit, and they get reroll hits and wounds against it. Well, we just get reroll wounds against the important stuff, regardless.
Yep, and reroll wound rolls of 1 against everything.
Yeah, so
always.
That's another point to the
That's
CSM.
pretty good. And keeping in mind, you can also have this then on your sustained hits.
Yep.
So you can be getting exploding 6s and rerolls and stuff with 0 buffs involved.
Yep.
It's all just inbuilt.
No needing to cast psychic powers, no needing to roll your chaplain prayers, you know.
And then another really interesting thing, they have the Chaos Icon war gear bit, and if they take the war gear, they get the ability, each time the bearer's unit takes a leadership test for the Dark Pact's ability, you can reroll the test.
Oosh.
So you're making that so much more reliable that you're just not going to take those mortal wounds.
Oosh. So
it's good.
6 plus rerollable. That's very probable.
Yeah. It's going to be so rare when you fail one of those.
Yeah.
And when you do, you've probably still got 4 or 5 guys in the unit to take the mortal wounds on.
And ultimately, D3 mortal wounds, it's actually not the end of the world. The amount of times that I'll, with my Dark Apostle, for my Master of Possessions, I'll use his Ritual Dagger, stab a Legionary to get plus the cast, and you go, cool, D3 mortal wounds, you roll a 1, cool, 1 mortal wound on that.
Yep.
It's like, who gives a shit? Yep. So I think the Dark Pact on Legionaries with that icon
is going to be amazing.
You're just going to be doing it every turn.
Yep.
And you're just going to be running around going, cool, I'm exploding 6s to hit with reroll wounds. That's crazy.
Yep. And we were talking a bit earlier as well, the Legionaries themselves, their profile hasn't gotten any tougher, but the fact that across the board, AP seems to have been brought down a little bit, and potentially the whole damage dealing meta is going to be shifted slightly, they're actually shaping up to be a lot tougher than they seem.
There is an interesting thing with cover where 3-up saves kind of don't benefit from...
They just kind of plateau at AP 1 and 2.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you get higher AP, it does matter again.
Correct. So that's interesting. I'm not certain whether or not the 3-up armor save is going to be the premium armor that it is of today.
But that's true for 3-up or 2-up saves.
Yeah,
so anything better than a 3+.
Yeah.
I think 4+ gets more benefit out of cover than 3+ does at that level.
Yeah.
But 3+ is inbuilt already just a bit better.
Yeah.
It just no longer gets the same, I guess, value over 4+ that you used to.
Still, looking at this, I'm so glad that I painted up like 90 Legionaries in my Alpha Legion army.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, Legionaries are mint.
Absolutely.
They're going to be really good.
Yeah. But, so that's all well and good about cover, but what if you wanted to have your Legionaries supported by a character that could potentially give them a save that's even better?
I don't know, do Chaos have any characters that buff saves?
It's an interesting one. Historically, it hasn't been the case, but they've also previewed the supreme failure of Chaos himself with 13 entirely successful and very well executed Black Crusades.
Correct.
Abaddon the Despoiler. Now, Abaddon the Despoiler has a Supreme Commander or an Epic Hero, I think is the keyword he's got now. And he has a movement 5, toughness 5, 2-up save, 9 wounds, a 5+ leadership, and an objective control of 4. He's a chonky boy.
He did take it a little bit of a blow there.
He's a bit slower.
His movement's a bit slower, and I believe he's gone down from toughness 6 to toughness 5.
Yeah.
So he's a little bit easier to pop.
But he's going to be a lot harder to target now too.
Yeah, and we also have no confirmation on whether or not he has a phase cap. Nothing on this data sheet says that he does, but we do have things in there like Epic Hero.
Yeah,
we're not 100% sure what that is.
I suspect because Hero itself could work as a keyword for characters.
Yeah.
That Epic Hero might be like a specific class of them that have extra rules. I could be wrong on that one, but that's my little pick. I'm like, it's interesting they've used that wording.
Because, my suspicion is that epic heroes will be things you can only take one of.
Yeah, like named characters.
Yeah, like they'll all be just epic heroes.
But that then seems slightly odd because there'll be things other than heroes that you only want an army to have one of.
Yeah,
so
that aren't something that you would call epic.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm sort of like, maybe there might be a little bit more to it than that. But we'll see how that one goes. Now, he has a couple of weapons. He's got the Talon of Horus for shooting, which has sustained hits 1 inbuilt, so you don't need Dark Pact that.
Which means you could Dark Pact and use the other Dark
lethal
Pact
hits.
ability. So
and then every 6 to hit is both an auto wound and an extra wound roll as well, which is pretty cool.
I mean, we'll have to see in current 9th edition, the way that works is you roll a 6, that hit becomes an auto wound, and then you get to make another
wound roll.
Wound roll.
Yeah.
Because you've got... Yeah,
Which makes sense. You're generating an extra hit
wound,
with that.
Yeah,
it doesn't have a value.
Yeah, so... But we'll see. You never know, because in previous editions, they would have both counted as a 6.
Yeah, and in previous instances of 9th edition, they would have both counted as a 6.
So we'll see whether that rule sustains through 10th edition.
Yep, that's fair. Now he's got a 24-inch range, 4 attacks, hits on 2s, strength 5 on what's basically a Storm Bolter.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool, AP 1 and 2 damage, so it's pretty hefty Storm Bolter.
It's pretty much.
It's a heavy bolter.
I think that's actually the exact same profile as what he currently has.
But it's just a 4-shot heavy bolter.
But it's just.
That's not heavy. And exploding 6s.
Yeah.
Pretty good. And then his melee weapons are where it gets really interesting.
Yes.
So he has, of course, Draconian and the Talon. Draconian he gets 8 attacks with, hits on 2s, strength 14,
Hoosh.
AP -4. One of only a couple of weapons we've seen with AP that high, and flat damage of 3. But it also has the devastating wounds ability, which is when 6s to wound do mortal wounds instead. Now,
instead or in addition?
Sorry, I need to clarify that actually because
I think it was in addition.
He does.
Assault cannons had that.
That's right. Yeah, but no, I feel like it translates them into mortal wounds. So. Because assault cannons had it, and the whole point was they would suddenly become super effective at doing it because it would translate it into it.
Yeah.
So that means that you roll a 6 to wound with it, and it's 3 mortal wounds.
Which currently, he's got a 6 to wound does D3 mortal wounds in addition.
Right, which is probably slightly better.
But I mean, it depends. If you're hitting something with a really good invulnerable save, there's a decent chance they're going to pass, negate the 3 damage you would have done, and then you're just doing D3 mortal wounds.
Yeah.
Now you're just like, I don't care about your invulnerable save, have 3 mortal wounds. So I think there are some cases where this is going to be better.
Yeah.
And some cases where maybe not.
I think overall it'll shake out to be better because you'll also be stacking on the Dark Pact stability here.
Yes.
So you're going to be turning around and going, well, I'm also going to be sustained hits on this. So I'm going to be getting a bunch of extra hits, and then I'm going to roll a bunch of 6s to wound anyway, and they're just going to pump you full of mortal wounds, which is going to be pretty cool.
The 6s to hit auto wound.
Oh, the lethal hits.
As a 6 to wound.
I don't believe it does. I think they've clarified that it just counts as a successful wound.
Yeah.
And then the Talon of Horus is essentially his sweep profile. 14 attacks, hitting on 2s, only strength 7, still AP -3, but it is only 1 damage. So it's still pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to be, real blender. That's where you want to be going, cool, I'm just going to auto wound on everything and just do a bunch of wounds.
Yeah.
It's going to be pretty cool. And of course, it also has devastating wounds. So it's also going to be doing those mortal wounds on 6s.
Yeah. So it sounds like he's a relatively durable beat stick character.
Hits harder than the Swarm Lord.
But I think it's his abilities where he truly shines. So let's talk about the crazy abilities this bloke has.
So he has Deep Strike and Leader as his ability. So he can be in a unit and he can Deep Strike. Fair enough. Or was it Warp Strike?
Warp Strike.
He can Warp Strike.
So Leader is the keyword that allows them to be attached to a unit.
Exactly. So
interestingly, does it specify on who he can be attached to there?
Just Leader.
Interesting, because I know that, like the Lieutenant, for example, he had a list of units he could be
I believe
attached
it's infantry units.
Okay.
So you couldn't stick him with a bike squad, or you couldn't add him to a Rhino, or something, because that'd be pretty funny.
Yeah, I'd add him to a Decimator.
Yeah, Decimator and Abaddon, they're just best mates. They're just chilling out.
Yeah, he'd have like a chain in the Talon of Horus, and he'd be like, pulling it around.
Be badass. And he has Dark Pact's ability, of course, as mentioned. And then he has the War Master. In your command phase, select one War Master ability, which we'll go through over in a moment. Until the start of your next command phase, this model has that ability. Now, basically every turn, you're going to pick one of 3 abilities.
Yeah.
The first one is the Paragon of Hatred, which has the Aura keyword. While a friendly Heretic Astartes unit is within 6 inches of this model, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, you can re-roll the hit roll. Now, I want to question something here.
God.
Now, sorry, because I've probably misunderstood something along the lines here, and I just want to make sure I'm getting it clear for you guys and for everyone watching. 10th edition is supposed to be a bit simpler, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere, and look, again, I'm not sure. Didn't they say something about they were reducing rerolls?
So hang on, no, they are.
Because
there's less rerolls.
Right.
I mean, yes, Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines can reroll all hits and all wounds, right?
Right, of course.
But there's less there's less rerolls though. Because
right.
They're just rerolling all their hits and wounds.
Of course, because before Abaddon could only target one unit for full rerolls to hit, but now every unit around him gets it.
Yeah.
It's clearly less.
Less.
Yeah.
Less is more.
It's good. and more is less, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah.
So, rerolls. This is 8th edition Gearman.
So there's one caveat here. We don't know for sure, because obviously we don't have the core rules on what they mean by within. Currently, there's a few different interpretations. You've got within, wholly within, entirely within. There's a few different withins, right? It's entirely possible that in the new edition, they're going to roll all of those together and just say, if it ever says within, it means wholly within.
Yeah, or it means just normally within, or whatever.
Yeah,
they roll onto one.
And if they make it wholly within, then this becomes significantly less powerful.
Still good though.
Have to be wholly within 6.
I mean, can you imagine just what, like, you could fit 9 obliterators wholly within 6 inches Abaddon, and like 3 decimators.
I'm just imagining a game where you've got Abaddon and just surrounded by maybe a unit of Terminators, and then just tendrilled out big units of Legionaries, right?
Yeah.
And those Legionaries are going out and they're all getting reroll hits because they're within 6 inches of Abaddon. And they're hitting things that are on objectives, so they're getting reroll wounds.
Yep.
And they're going in there with their chain swords. They're getting sustained hits.
Yep.
And they're just going, no! And just shredding shit. And I'm like, this is fucked.
It's
This is fucking fucked.
You thought CSM and World Leaders were blendy now.
Like, Jesus.
Just wait.
Like, again, like
look, we don't know the whole picture. We don't know where the whole like durability of everything is sitting. Like, we're assuming that, you know, they're running into similar profiles to themselves, Space Marines, other CSM, you know, even the Tyranid creatures we've seen so far. But if the whole game is expanded and the toughness, if these guys have stayed fixed and all of the toughness has gotten lower and higher above and below them, it's probably actually could be different.
It's kind of weird.
We don't know that
like,
it is.
When we see that the toughness is increasing on vehicles and things like that, we're like, that's actually good. I like that for the game. But then if you simultaneously just give entire factions army-wide reroll wounds, it's like, well, it's actually now die easier.
Full reroll wounds, full rerolls hits. 6s are either more hits, therefore more wound rolls, or auto wounding anyway.
It's a problem.
It's a choice.
And especially when you're going in there with like your heavy chain axe in the unit, your power
your heavy melee weapon.
Your heavy melee weapon.
Yeah.
You know, giving those things reroll hits. Like you're gonna have guys in that unit that are gonna be absolute monsters in melee.
Do the reroll hits work on the psychic abilities? Because they're now shooting attacks.
I'd say so, yeah. Unless it specifies that psychic keyword doesn't get those. But
I don't think they've said it does. It specifies anything like that, but it could.
Yeah.
It might be that psychic aren't affected by abilities that affect shooting attacks, I don't know why they would do that if they're making it a shooting attack.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. But there's only one ability he can choose from.
I can't wait to shoot people with my books.
Rerolling all hits and wounds.
Yeah. With books.
Yeah. Yep.
Mind bullets.
Mind books.
Yep.
Okay, his second ability that you can choose, Mark of Chaos Ascendant, which is also an aura. While a friendly Heretic Astartes infantry or Heretic Astartes mounted unit is within 6 inches of this model, models in that unit have a 4+ invulnerable save.
Jesus.
Good Lord.
So, there's a few things to note here. One is that this is an ability that you select in your command phase.
Yeah. So if you go second, first turn, this is not up.
So, this is going to make some really interesting deployments where you're going to have to deploy conservatively and hidden. Like, you look at this and you're like, wow, a Marine army that tendrils off of Abaddon. Abaddon's the crutch in the center. He's attached to a unit of Terminators, so you can't kill him because you got to kill through all these fucking toughness 5 Terminators.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So you can't kill Abaddon. And then there's all these Legionary squads tendriling out. Like, that sounds really, really powerful when you go, oh, by the way, they've also all got 4-up invulnerable saves.
Yep.
But if your opponent goes first and they go, cool, we're going to give reroll hits and wounds to ourselves, and we're going to blast, like, that's a problem. My first reaction to this was like, oh my god, that's insane. But since then I've gone, well, actually.
But here's the thing, the way it is now, you still want to be hidden first turn.
True.
So I don't think it's as big of a difference as you think, because you already don't want to get shot turn 1.
And this is an ability that he activates on himself at the start of the command phase. So if you have things in strategic reserves
that enter, this is just an aura he'll have.
In his aura, they're going to have these buffs. So I think there's going to be a lot of people going, cool, I've got all these obliterators and deep strike.
Yep, they're all just going to show up directly next to Abaddon.
Surrounded by Terminators, he moves up into the center of the table. Terminators are blasting things with
doing Terminator things, yeah.
And doing all these crazy things. And then the Obliterator just drop down, and the Obliterator profile will go through soon as well. But,
full rerolls to hit and wound probably, and then 4-up invuln.
Yeah.
It's going to be nuts.
The reroll wounds part was Legionnaire specific.
You're correct.
That was their veterans of the Long War.
Yeah.
But we don't know for sure if other units are going to have that.
Yeah.
Or whether it's just Legionaries. It wouldn't make much sense for Legionaries to be veterans of the Long War, but bikers are not.
Yeah.
Like, that wouldn't make a lot of sense to me.
But I could see it if things that are currently like Demon Kit and stuff, if they took it off those and went, Veterans of the Long War is like for the ones that are still Marines.
Yeah. There might be a Veterans of the Long War and a Demon Kin.
Yeah.
Or something
I could see that.
to that effect.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. But you can pick one of those 2 abilities, but there's a third one as well. Which is
the third one.
Which is actually...
It's not a list if you only have 2 things.
No.
Like, you never start a list with 2. You got to throw a third in.
So this is easily the worst of the 3, but sometimes very useful. Lord of the Traitor Legions, also an aura. While a friendly Heretic Astartes unit is within 6 inches of this model, you can reroll leadership and battle shock tests taken for this unit.
Cool. So this would allow you to reroll your
Dark Pacts one.
So
you've been taking a lot of leadership tests with Space
that
Marines.
Have icons, like the Terminators, for example, they're probably not going to have access to icons.
Yeah, they don't now, so they're not going to get it.
Yeah, so being able to reroll their Dark Pact is pretty cool. And it sounds like Battle Shock is actually going to be a meaningful morale mechanism. Battle Shock, for those who haven't kept up, which I'm sure you all have, but just a refresher, it's you get your objective control stat is reduced to 0.
Yep, so you can't hold objectives at all.
You can't have any stratagems used on you.
Yep.
And
you don't get
the third one.
You can't be targeted or affected by stratagems or abilities and stuff.
Yep.
So you wouldn't get affected by Abaddon's 4-up invuln, for example.
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool. And then I believe it was you need to take a leadership check to be able to fall back.
Yeah.
Sorry, if you no, it's not that because you've already taken it. If you fall back, your opponent can like try and kill your models as you leave.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is it's interesting.
Yeah.
The first 2 are really interesting because it means that instead of your model, you just more models are dead. They're still there, but they're no longer able to interact with the game the same way. They can't change the game state. And if you can do things which Tyranids do, and I'm sure we'll see a fair few of it, forcing your opponents to take battle shock tests and leadership checks out of sequence, that can just flip an objective, flip a game. Being able to have a full rerolls to that all the time, that's pretty good.
Yeah, and we'll see. There might be other sources of reroll hits, and there might be some games where the 4-up invulnerable save is not particularly relevant. So you go, cool, I actually don't need the reroll hits. I actually don't need the invulnerable save, so I'm going to go with the immunity. Stuff.
I really like psychology mechanics, and I like when they're relevant to a game and they're interesting to a game. And I really hope that we actually see this ability become the standard.
Yes.
I want it to be such a meaningful part of the game that people go, I'm obviously taking the reroll leadership checks.
Yeah.
It's such an important part of the game, such a relevant thing. That's the better choice than just being more killy.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that's the way to go.
I read somewhere that battle shock checks you were going to take in your command phase if the unit was below half strength.
Yes.
So I think this might be one of those situations where early turns, you're taking the invulnerable save, you're taking that to protect yourself, or you're taking the reroll hits because you want to do damage.
Yep.
But then in the later stages of the game, when all your units are getting whittled down and they're in that lower range, then you go, cool, actually Abaddon's going to be like, don't worry boys, we got this.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So he gets to pick one of those 3 abilities every turn. Pretty amazing. But I'm not finished yet. His other ability is called Dark Destiny. Each time this model makes a Dark Pact and does not fail the resulting leadership check, roll 1d6. On a 2+, you gain 1 CP.
And what's his leadership?
His leadership is 5+.
5+.
So if you're rolling a 5 or higher on 2 dice...
Is only 1 better than a legionary.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be the leader of fucking, like, the whole Black Crusade.
Hey, look, Marnius Kalga glared at him wrong and he ran back up to his ship.
True. He's not a great leader. If anything, he should be leadership 7+.
Yeah.
That would be fun. But so he's probably not failing that check, to be honest. So, and then you probably are on the 2+.
Well, I mean,
to see what the math on that is. What's the probability?
Presumably, he's a Heretic Astartes unit within 6 inches of himself. So he'll be rerolling his own leadership check.
If you take that ability.
Yeah. And then you're just getting extra CP.
Yeah.
The 2-up roll is interesting, like why bother? But it's there.
And I guess
as far as we know,
where you're going to be dark pacting on him, even if you're not shooting things like
just to gain that extra. Yeah.
Traditionally, you're going to be using it to either get the 6s to hit auto wound or the 6s to hit explode. But you might use it on him even if he's nowhere near anyone.
Just to get the extra CP.
You get to go that for the 2 up to get a CP. Because if you're starting with 0 CP, generating 1 in each command phase, being able to generate an additional 1 on top.
Well, if there's because we don't know currently if there's a limit to the amount of CP you can generate every turn.
Yeah.
You could generate 2 off him every turn plus the others that you would do.
Yeah.
Because every shooting phase and every time he makes it melee attacks, you get to.
Oh, is it every time he dark pacts?
Yeah. Each time he makes a dark pact and does not fail the resulting leadership check.
Roll a d6. When do you dark pact?
So you dark pact every time it's selected to shoot or fight. It can make a dark pact.
You fucking what?
Yeah, just twice a turn basically. If you've got a way to get like 2 rounds of combat, it can be 3 times a turn.
You fucking what? Yeah. That's insane. All right.
Yeah. That's what it'll do. CP out the wazoo.
Well, I guess you would have to be. So if you do,
you have to be able to shoot.
You would actually have to be shooting something. You would actually have to be in combat. So you can't just sit in your little castle of Terminators and do nothing.
As a TO, I'm expecting a flurry of questions about, can I activate a unit to shoot even though it hasn't got any targets? Because it used to be a question you'd get.
Yeah. Nah.
That'll happen again. Can he shoot his pistol up in the air a bit? No.
Yeah.
No. By the way, no, so you can't.
That actually makes this ability interesting because if your opponent hides, stays outside of his range, those sorts of things, they can slow down your CP generation.
But then they're hiding and staying out of your range instead of playing the game.
Everybody hides from Abaddon.
Yeah, you do anyway.
Because he's ugly. And they don't want to have a conversation with him.
Yeah, it's a bit rude.
When you go to a party and there's that one fucking guy and you're just like, this fucking guy. And you're like, you go hide and like around you. That's how people treat Abaddon.
That's just why we never invite you to parties anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why he gets pissed off and throws fucking Blackstone Fortresses because they don't invite him to their shit. It's like, Creed!
Yeah. But yeah, so that's pretty cool. And that's him. He's at 4 up invuln as well, because obviously.
Yep.
But yeah. Then they've also previewed a few different weapons profiles. So we have the Bale Flamer from the Helldrake.
Yep.
So it ignores cover and torrent. Ignores cover is nice. I like that flamers have that again.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's a flame weapon. When you hide behind a wall, it's fire.
Yep.
Doesn't care.
Correct.
Yeah.
Can move through walls.
Well, it gets around them pretty convincingly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Checks out.
Now it's 12-inch range, D6 plus 3 attacks. The torrent rule means it auto hits these attacks. So strength 6, -1, and 2 damage.
Cool.
Which is cool. I think it's a little bit better than it is now. I think it's a 1 damage flamer at the moment.
No, I believe it is 2 damage.
Okay.
I think it's D6 plus 2 shots at the moment though.
Because of Let the Galaxy Burn.
So it goes to D6 plus 3. So it's extra shots.
AP,
and ignores cover. They're the 2 main changes that I see.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's going to be good. I love Helldrakes and I love turn 1 having them like sniping characters.
It'll be interesting to see whether or not it gets the blast treatment. I'm guessing
it does not. It doesn't have blast yet.
I feel like flame weapons should have blast. Like they should generate more hits the bigger the unit they're hitting because that's the old template system.
They should, but they should do it only if they should have a modified version of blast where it only triggers on models that are within the range.
Yeah.
Which suddenly you're talking, well, that's too complicated. Let's just
bring back templates.
Yeah, templates are cool. Play Heresy, it's good.
Templates are sick.
Yep. They've also previewed the Obliterators, which you mentioned earlier, and they're flesh metal guns. Now they, of course, have the 3 profiles, and they all get special rules and things. The Focused Malice one has Melter 2. Now Melter, from memory, you get extra benefits against vehicles. I don't remember what it does specifically.
Melter 2 is that you do 2 additional damage if you're within half range.
Gotcha.
So
yep.
Melter means if you're within half range, you do, and then the 2 is however much.
Gotcha.
So there'll be things that'll be Melter 1, Melter 3, whatever.
Knights will have a Melter 6.
Yeah, correct.
Obviously.
Yep.
Because Knights.
Because Knights are over the top.
Yeah. So 24-inch range. So it's a decent range, like a multi-melter.
Yep.
D3 attacks. Ballistic skill 3+, strength 12, AP -3, 4 damage. So at 24-inch range, you've got D3 attacks with strength 12 doing 4 damage. Within 12-inch range, D3 attacks, strength 12 doing 6 damage each.
Yep. So
cool.
I can just see dropping in 3 of these guys and going, cool, that's 3d3. So you're looking at around 6 shots.
Yep.
Your going to be getting sustained hits.
Yep, and full rerolls to hit because you knew about it.
Yep.
Yep.
So you're going to be like, cool. That's going to get you an average of like five hits.
Well, you'll get a sustained hit and you get a reroll. So it'll probably be average 6 hits.
So yeah,
with full rerolls.
So cool. So you go in 6 shots, 6 hits, and then you're like, okay, cool.
Strength
now
12.
You'll be wounding most vehicles on 3s.
3s, yeah.
Right. So then you're getting 4 wounds through.
Yep.
You're cutting straight through their armor because you're AP4.
AP3.
Oh, AP3.
So okay. AP3 minus 3, yeah.
So let's be generous. They get one of the saves. So you're getting 3 through. You're doing 18 damage.
Yep. No, yeah. 6 damage apiece.
That's fucked.
Yeah. And then they have the Ruinous Salvo. This is Blast. Blast just means you get 1 extra hit for every 5 models in the target unit.
Which is such a classy change. I love
Yes, it just makes it so much simpler. The current rule makes sense, but it's like both ends of it work in different ways.
Yeah.
So it's just, this is nice. 24-inch range, D6 attacks, ballistic skill 3+, strength 8 -2, 2 damage. This is just good. Good heavy infantry clearer. It'll kill a lot of Marines very quickly.
Yep.
It's good.
It's not too much different from their current one. Strength 8 though. Their current one is strength 7.
Yep. So strength 8 is good.
So they got an extra pip of strength.
Yep.
And I think their current one is 9 shots. This is D6 blast.
Yeah, which is
mid profile.
A bit of a change.
I think all in all though, I like this profile.
Yeah.
Because that strength 8 is relevant when you're shooting into Marines.
It is, yeah. The D6 is interesting though. I'm not a fan of D6 anything really.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you have the Warp Hail, which has the sustained hits 1 keyword. So, I
thought you said war pail, as in like a plastic bucket for war. Like it's a war pail, and he's like, bonk.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I mean, maybe some particularly angry ones have them on their heads and stuff. I'm
going to model one with a war pail.
Your panel's a KFC chicken bucket? Yeah. Range 24 inches, D6 plus 3 attacks. So this is like your current, like 9 plus D6 one.
Yeah.
D6 plus 3, ballistical 3 plus strength 5, -1, 1 damage.
And that's sustained hits 1.
Sustained hits 1, so 6s to hit, get an extra hit.
Yeah. So with these guys, with your Dark Pact, you would be going lethal hits.
Yes, yeah.
Because you've already got sustained hits from your weapon.
Yeah, and you'd just be doing damage through pretty much everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
So interesting.
Yep. And then
stratagem time?
Stratagem time. Dark Obscuration. This is a Slaves to Darkness strategic ploy stratagem. When in your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit has selected its targets, the target is 1 Heretic Astartes unit from your army that was selected as the target of 1 or more of the attacking unit's attacks. And the effect, until the end of the phase, your unit has the Stealth ability. In addition, if your unit is a Nurgle unit, until the end of the phase, your unit can only be selected as the target of a ranged attack if the attacking model is within 12 inches.
Jeez.
And this costs 1 CP.
So we don't currently know what stealth does. It's pretty safe to assume it's going to be -1 to hit, right?
Yeah, it's probably -1 to hit. It might be
gain the benefits of cover,
like cover or something.
But
I could see a variant of that.
It'll be
-1 to hit makes sense.
It's on brand for Nurgle.
Yeah, because they've also said that the Shroud or Shrouded is an ability as well, and that sounds more like gain cover in the open.
Yeah.
Yeah, stealth is like, oh, you're hard to see at all.
Yeah.
Yep. And
is there more or?
Well, there's 2 interesting things I want to bring up with that. The first is the wording of when. It says your opponent's shooting phase just after an enemy unit has selected its targets.
For fuck's sake, GW. So
yeah,
we all are familiar with the word immediately.
Yeah. We're all familiar with the word after.
Black and white. Exactly. Like why is the word just there? Like so I know there was a period of time where people were going, it says to do this after, so 3 turns later I'm going to do it now. Because technically that's 3, but those people are fucking idiots. Obviously, like, it's not hard. But they did fix that with the word immediately.
Yes.
Right? Immediately is very clear. Whereas just after...
Or they would say something like when this, but before this.
Yeah.
So now we have immediately after, just after, we have after, and so what is immediately or just faster?
I think it goes immediately and then just. Because like, you could say 2 minutes into this episode that we just started.
That's true.
Just depends on how long, right?
Yeah.
Like if you've got something that's going for 10 seconds, 9 seconds in, you haven't just started, right?
Right, yeah.
You're just about to finish.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Whereas if it's something that's going for 10 hours and you're 9 seconds in, you've just started.
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
So just is a relative term.
Whereas immediately is right now.
Immediately is, it ends here, starts here.
Yes, yeah.
So immediately, maybe what they're doing here is trying to work with the situation where there might be multiple things that happen immediately.
What if there's multiple things that happen just?
But, well, that actually makes more sense though, right? If you've got two things that must happen immediately after, it's actually not logically possible to have two things happen, unless they happen simultaneously. But if there's something that needs to be resolved sequentially, they can't both be immediate.
How long do you have confidence they'll manage to balance that line?
I don't think they're even aware of the philosophical challenge that they've just unleashed upon us, these motherfuckers.
But no, did they just unleash it, or did they immediately unleash it?
Point to Dalton.
We'll track those over here instead.
There'll be a little scoreboard for Dalton down here.
See us up here, me down there. It's good.
It's going to be fucking numbers all over the fucking screen like that meme of that chick.
And then the other interesting thing to note is the way the effect works is that if you're a Nurgle unit, which it's firstly, there's probably going to be other strats then that affect a Tzeentch one, a Khorne one, and a Slaanesh one, and probably an Undivided one. Which is kind of cool.
Interesting. We'll have to scroll back up, look at the Legionary's profile, and see if does it say you get to select a mark? How to mark?
It says infantry, battle line, chaos, grenades, legionaries.
Does it say undivided on?
It does not, and it says nothing about a mark or an icon. One model can be equipped with a chaos icon. Okay, so potentially the chaos icon bit of war gear somewhere says that you can take a mark, or you can gain that keyword, but it doesn't say it here. And there is a war gear ability written on their data sheet, which just says they can reroll the leadership test for Dark Pacts.
Yeah.
So it'd be interesting to see if that's something that they can take and that's a different bit of war gear, or if that's the entirety of it.
Because it's a Nurgle infantry unit. What grants the Nurgle keyword?
Plague Marines?
Like, surely it's not just Plague Marines.
It's not infantry either. It's just one Heretic Astartes unit, period.
Okay.
Works on Abaddon.
Oosh.
Until the end of the phase, your unit can only be selected as the target of a ranged attack if the attacking model is within 12 inches. So it's just, you can't target it if it's not within 12. Now you use this after targets have been declared, and the stratagem itself doesn't say anything about redesignating targets. Now, I think that'll be in the core rules, because at the start of 9th, we had, I think, at least 2, maybe 3 rules come out that changed the state of a target. And they didn't say you could redesignate the targets.
Yeah.
And people couldn't, and they had to FAQ them. And then the latter half of 9th edition, we've had books come out where that's already written into the rule. So I suspect the fact they haven't written into the rule here means it's in the core rules. Anything that changes a target afterwards,
I'm gonna
can do that.
disagree. I actually think that this is their intent. So there's a few things that make me think that. One of them is that CP are rarer now.
That is true. So you can have stratagems be a bit more powerful.
A 1 CP stratagem is actually blowing a big chunk of your command points, right?
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I think it's entirely possible that if somebody does target you, you can go, well, actually, no.
Okay.
But that's one of your units doesn't get to shoot. Like, its shooting is wasted.
Yeah.
And then they're just going to have to allocate their other shit into other shit. Right?
Yeah, that's true. That could be interesting.
I think, and I also think
that's going to be a pretty feel-bad thing.
If their goal is to have the core rules simple enough that you can digest them, I feel like having in the core rules a specific thing that says, if it's different thing says a specific thing than this other thing, I feel like that fucks their whole simplified but not simple.
Well, it depends, because they're also trying to centralize rules, right? They're bringing back universal special rules and things like that. So by the same logic, you would go, well, there's a bunch of different rules that will have different wordings, but will change the way targets are designated.
I would agree with that if this rule said, they gain this
ability that
obscured, right? And then there was a core rule saying obscured units cannot be targeted.
Yep.
If selected as a target and then this rule becomes active, you can select a different target.
That's fair. Right? Yeah, I could say that's an easy way to do it.
If that's how they structured it, then I would agree.
But Judo wouldn't make it easy to understand.
I feel like they're getting so goddamn close to making it easy to understand. That's the one thing that they're doing well. They've blown the balance. It feels already like it's obviously way too soon to say any of this.
Yeah.
Certain, but it feels like they've just blown the balance out the arse by giving everything all this access to rerolls and all these exploding hits and all these mortal wounds and exploding wounds and all this. This is fucked. It's a lot. And I feel like this edition's going to be more killy than ever before. Now, I remember at the start of 9th edition, they did say they were going to make the game less killy.
Yes.
And it was true for the
a little bit.
35 to 40 seconds.
Yeah.
And then
I reckon maybe even like 50 seconds.
50 seconds.
It lasted a bit longer than that.
I think you're way off there. It was definitely 45. But anyway, the point is...
Agree to disagree.
They immediately went for the scale of damage output because GW don't know how to make something exciting without making it do 1 billion mortal wounds. That's the only thing they know how to do.
Yeah.
So I feel like if this is the baseline that we're starting at, like holy fuck, mid 10th edition is going to be hectic.
Yeah. Well, I just want to bring out an interesting thing regarding the balance and things. Before 8th edition, what was the big thing that was terrible?
What, it's in 7th edition?
Back in 6th and 7th edition, the big scary Death Star unit.
Yeah, well that was one thing.
But like what was it specifically? It was the big invisible Terminators.
Yeah.
Well, now, Abaddon has the Nurgle keyword. He can join units Terminators. Visible Terminators are back, baby!
And they're just sitting there with their fucking bolters and Reaper autocannons, which are probably going to be re-rolling fucking hits and wounds and doing all kinds of crazy shit.
Well, we have the Reaper autocannon profile as well, which is pretty bloody good. Yeah. Was it Reaper Heavy Auto or Havoc autocannons?
Yeah, so they'll have the
Reaper chain cannons. 48 inches, 2 attacks, 3 up, strength 9, -1, 3 damage.
Ooshed.
Yeah.
Ooshed.
Yeah, and they're going to have lethal hits on them or sustained hits or something.
Yeah. This is the problem. So I was really excited for 10th, and I still am.
Look, I'm keen. I want to play this jank. It's going to be hilarious.
I just feel like it's almost impossible to make this level of change.
Yeah.
Without fucking a lot of it up.
I mean, okay, I'm taking the mickey out of it now, but I'm quietly hopeful that the way that everything we haven't seen is scaled, that it does kind of work. And if not, I don't think it will right out of the gate, but I hope it's close enough that with a few tweaks, it actually falls into line. Like 9th edition, a lot of the books came out, they're busted.
Yeah.
But after a couple of tweaks, which they've been more willing to do than they ever have before, it has actually been all right, and it's sort of come back down into something playable.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping that with a core rules redesign, going back to USRs, bring it all back to that, it's going to be busted when it comes out. But after, it's going to be good fun. But after a little bit of time, it's going to sort of tweak it, and suddenly be, potentially, hopefully better than what we're playing now.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it wouldn't take much to make it better than what we're playing now.
No, that's true. That's true. Yeah.
So is that all we've got for CSM at this stage?
Fabulous Bill gets a new book.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yeah. Actually, I don't even know. Hold on.
Or is that just...
No, I don't think it's a new book either. They've just kind of gone, oh yeah, there is a Fabulous Bill book.
Yeah, if you
check it out.
Clicked on this article, it's because you like CSM, so you probably want this book.
Yeah. That's what it is.
So some really interesting stuff there for the CSM. I think based on those rules, I'm feeling optimistic that the CSM are going to be able to stick it to the Marines.
Which is good.
The loyalists.
They need to. They got spikes, they're just better.
Yeah, exactly.
Point, they got spikes.
Point for spikes.
Yeah.
Yep. So I think they're gonna do well.
Yeah.
And there'll be some interesting stuff with. I can just see Possessed. Something tells me Possessed are gonna be fucked.
Yeah.
Something tells me that they're gonna have like high strength, high damage, and they're gonna have lethal hits or something like that. And I feel like I can feel it. Possessed are gonna be where it's at.
I really want to see the Master of Possession and what he can do, because he'll affect Possessed and Obliterators and all that. At the moment, he's amazing. But I want to see what he can do with the new edition, with the way they're adjusting all the psychic abilities to work.
Yeah.
I want to see him get the Librarian treatment, where he has his passive...
mind bullets.
Yeah, but like the Librarian has the passive ability to affect the unit he's in.
Yeah.
I want to see a Master of Possession running up with a whole pack of Possessed, just running up the board, and he's making them better and stuff. Yeah,
he'll probably get mutated invigoration, so plus
basically
strength and toughness or something like that.
That's pretty good.
Built in.
Pretty good.
So imagine a unit of Possessed with +1 strength and +1 toughness built in that you don't have to roll a psychic test for.
That's nice. And I mean, I imagine he also has a way to heal them. Because looking at the NIDs, Games Workshop are very happy to hand out busted healing stuff.
Yeah.
Bringing models back and stuff. So
yeah,
it's gonna be pretty cool.
Yeah. So I'm keen as fuck for CSM 10th edition.
Yep. I, for one, am looking forward to our new less is more reroll overlords.
Yeah. Checks out. Yeah, cool. All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. Did you want to, I've got you to do a quick shout out for your channel?
Absolutely. Look, go check out Risky Rollers. We're doing a bunch of battle reports in the lead up to 10th, but also as soon as 10th comes out, we're doing a bunch of stuff there. Make sure you subscribe. We've got crazy stuff happening. This Mad Lad's coming on for some stuff.
Yes, we've
CSM related, obviously.
You've probably seen Dalton. We did a Necron versus Black Legion battle report a few bits ago.
That was good fun.
I'll link in the description if you want to check that out. But look forward to seeing a bunch more collaborations between these cunts.
Yeah, it's going to be mad-ass.
All right, see you guys.
Catch ya.
Blog for the Blood God.
The Warhammer community suffers from some of the most prohibitively expensive essentials in the world, especially Australian content creators. Every single day, Dean wants to create content, but he can't. Suffering from old, worn-out brushes, expensive model kits, and costly software and equipment he can't endure much longer. Just look at this dirty paint water. Would you drink this? Would you let your child? Even a small monthly donation can help provide Dean with clean paint water, basic tools for survival, and access to life-saving information and education. So please, follow the links in the description below and find out how you can sponsor a mad cunt like Dean today and end the suffering. Suffering that is cruel, unsustainable, and your fault.
Do your objective markers ever get lost behind terrain or other models and become difficult to see? Do they ever get bumped and accidentally moved during a game? And do they ever spark arguments about distances? Well, not anymore. Introducing the blog for the Blood God, not even remotely patented neoprene objective markers. Made from the same material as astronaut suits, or maybe military equipment, or probably neither of those things, this 2mm thick neoprene synthetic rubber is tear resistant, water resistant, and is designed to last. But that's not all. The blog for the Blood God, not even remotely patented neoprene objective markers come in a variety of different designs and styles to suit any faction represented in the Warhammer 40,000 universe. These objective markers are a perfect gift for yourself or a friend, and are a perfect way to flex and show your opponent that not only are you a smarter, cooler, and better 40k player than them, but you also have more disposable income than they do. For the low price of $25, you'll get not one, not two, but 6 neoprene objective markers, perfectly designed for 9th edition Warhammer 40k. But wait, there's more. For a limited time only, people who sign up on Patreon to support Blog for the Blood God as a Skull Champion tier $5 per month member will gain access to a custom design service where I will design a unique logo to support their gaming club, like the one I did to the left here for the Potato Farmers local gaming club here in Melbourne. Follow the links in the description of this video to pick up your set today.